is the
Yeah.
first time you've had a chance to play them. Are there any emotions for you going into this game at all?
Not really. I think if it would have happened sooner in my career, maybe there would be more. But there's the staff there is completely different. I mean, there's only a handful of guys on that roster that were there, when I was there. So there's just really not a lot of connection that's still there for me.
What do you need to do to get this offense going? Those 3 and outs kind of stand out.
Yeah. I think the encouraging thing when we looked at the film is, there weren't any major glaring breakdowns. It just seemed to be a minor thing here or there, but in this league, the margin for error is so small that, if we all aren't on the same page, then, those mistakes can cost us. And I think that's the reason for some of those 3 and outs early in the game. But, I think even more important this week, going against LA, obviously they've got a very talented group, on offense. They scored a lot of points last year. We got to make sure that we help our defense out, that we keep ourselves on the field, and that we're going down there and scoring points.
Pretty good defense you're facing, too.
Yeah, they're really talented on. I think when you look at them on paper, they're probably one of the most talented units in the league. The way they played in the second half last week, they played really well. So I think it's definitely a big challenge for us. But we've accepted that. We're putting in the work to get ready for them.
The other receivers besides Fitz, what can they do to get going? How can they become more involved in the offense? What do they need to do? What can you guys do as a group to kind of get them going?
Yeah, I think there's some things that, we could probably do game plan wise to maybe, just get them going a little bit. Some easy completions, some things out there. Just get the ball in their hands, let them touch it, and then kind of build from there. Looking back last week, Fitz was pretty heavy in the game plan, trying to get him the ball, trying to get David the ball. So, maybe just find a way to get those balls to them early in the game and just kind of get them some touches. Honestly, it was pretty seamless, and I think it's a credit to him. To have a guy, especially a rookie who hasn't played a lot in this system or really in this league, to come in and be able to do what he's done, I think it's really impressive. I think he's probably one of the smartest young guys that I've played with. Just the calls and the way he's able to see the game, it hasn't changed anything from my point of view. I was expecting to kind of have to come in there and maybe be a little more involved with some of the calls and some of the points, but he's done a great job at getting himself prepared and be able to come out there and lead those guys up front.
What does that do for the offense in terms of, you obviously don't have to go backwards too much, you can just keep
Right.
going forward?
Yeah. I just think it helps those guys. Obviously losing AQ was big. I think he's the voice that those guys have heard for, the past couple years. And, if you ask them, I think, there probably was, a couple week window where, it was just maybe a little bit different, maybe came out just a touch slower. But, for him to be able to come in and really direct all that traffic up front, it just allows us to keep going. It allows us to really continue with what we were doing. We don't have any limitations in that regard, which is really nice.
David, the actual act of snapping, is there any sort of adjustments?
Both those guys are good at that, so there honestly wasn't much of an adjustment.
David was very critical of himself after the games. He played very well. You mentioned dropping passes, missing blocks, stuff that he didn't see. Is that a fair criticism, do you think, or was he just
I think that's I think that's who David is. Obviously he's always going to take responsibility for his mistakes, but I don't think there was anything really to that. I think we all didn't play to the best of our ability on Sunday. I think we were all disappointed, and we all felt like we could have done better to help the offense get going.
On Sunday, you said you need to look back at the film to see just on you footwork or anything if we haven't seen that inaccuracy yet.
Yeah.
Anything stand out?
Obviously the interception, I think, just take what's there. I think I've tried to force that one a little bit. That defender was a little further back than, I thought on tape. Larry was open underneath on that one. So, I think just being patient, even when the game gets the way it was, continuing to take, what's there, and just not trying to force things. I think that was a couple of the things, when you're not 100% confident in throws, they tend not to be accurate because you don't feel great about it. And I think there were a couple throws that I made where, in my mind, I was like, I don't know if I should be making this throw, but you kind of go ahead and you still try to make it. And I think that's what resulted in some of the inaccuracies.
When it comes to the offense in general and how you feel on the offense as well, is there going to be a learning curve now that you get to the regular season and unlike the preseason, teams have their best players out there and they're game planning for you? Do you feel like with the new coaching staff and this new group of you guys together, there's going to be a certain learning curve as we get into the regular season?
Obviously the regular season is different just with game plans and stuff, but like I said before last week, we felt really good with where we were at. We felt good with the plan. We just didn't go out and execute it. I think it really comes down, to just going out there and being us and executing. Like I just said, looking at the film, there was nothing glaring, nothing major, just, a lot of small mistakes here and there that kind of added up to the performance that it did. And I think we've just got to find a way to correct those, and I think we'll be fine.
Sam, is Donald one of those kind of elite players that you have to specifically kind of game plan for, around what you guys put in what you do this week?
The thing about this week is, obviously not only do they have him, but, they've got Sue, they've got Brock. I mean, their entire defensive line is really good. And so, I think with that depth, it might alter some of the things we do and kind of change the way we try to attack them. So, yes, we're very aware of Aaron Donald in their front this week.
Sue was saying during the preseason that he always marks when he's going to play you and he wants to hit you extra hard. Is that something you're thinking about?
Great.
Sorry to bear that.
Yeah, no. I mean, I get it. I think everyone wants to hit me. I think that's kind of how it goes. So I don't think I really think too much more about it than any other week.
What's your relationship like with him?
No.
Thanks, Sam.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Family like you then. That doesn't make sense.
All right, good afternoon. Had a pretty good practice today. Thought the guys bounced back well. The energy was there, the focus was there, and I thought we really accomplished a lot today. I thought we took a step moving forward. So with that, I'll take questions.
Nice to see Marcus moving.
It was great to see him out there. I thought he moved around well. He was limited today, but he did some good things, particularly in individual period, moving around. I miss his energy, his enthusiasm, so I can't wait to get him out there full time.
Yeah, what can a guy with that kind of motor do for not just himself, but the guys around him?
I think it's infectious. It just, carries over with the rest of the team, particularly the defense, starting with those guys. A lot of energy. He's a guy that's very vocal, and you need that out there on the defensive side of the ball. Right now, the MRI just saying really just some soreness there, nothing that showed up from a true negative standpoint, but we really got to give him some time to recover a little bit. So, it's day to day with him.
Coach Sam was talking about getting Chad and Christian maybe involved earlier, kind of get those guys, get a pop, get a lather to try to get them more productive over the course of the game. As the coach, do you see it that way?
Yeah, we got to spread the ball around a little bit. I think, again, the question was asked about the receivers. I feel real good about the guys. We targeted Larry a lot last week, but I think those other guys are more than capable of making plays, and we got to spread it around. So I agree with what Sam said, and most importantly, that's going to be part of the game plan moving forward.
Do you anticipate Marcus will play Sunday, or do you think he might still be a ways off?
I think it's still a day-to-day, and I want to make sure, again, that I don't push him out there too soon because I don't want him to have a setback.
Is there any learning curve for the offense just with the new coaches now that you're into the regular season and teams are game planning and they have their regular personnel as opposed to the preseason?
Darren, I think it's really early on in the season. I think you're still learning. I think we're still learning each other. Players are, the timing, not only on the offensive side of the ball, but also on the defensive side of the ball, just with the communication and still building that trust, and making sure that everybody's doing their responsibility. So I think it's a process you got to continue to go through, and we're still in the early stages.
How tough is it for the offense to have to try to make a comeback performance against this defense?
It's going to be tough each and every week. Because to me, National Football League, it's a week-to-week business. But going against a defense like this, we got a challenge ahead of us. They got two good corners. The D-line is outstanding. The linebackers coming off the edge is phenomenal. So I think, as I mentioned last week, we got pretty talented players as well. So I'm excited about what we can do, and it's going to be a tough game on Sunday, but I'm looking forward to it.
Those two, three announced that turned out to be fairly significant.
Yeah, we got to generate some positive plays early on in the game, and sustain some drives a little bit. Same thing on the defensive side of the ball. We got to make sure that we 3 and out to get the ball back to the offense. But, that's some of the things we've been talking about and emphasizing.
When you see the Rams dominant, kind of punishing defense, dominant running back, they play off him in the passing game. Is that kind of what you envision for your football team as well?
Well, let me address, Gurley first. Everything they do, I think, starts and stops with him. Phenomenal player, 3-down back, can do it in between the tackles, take it outside. He's very phenomenal in the passing game. And when you look at him, I'm looking at David Johnson. So, yes, to answer your question, I feel like we have the same capabilities with the same kind of guy.
Coach, you said multiple times it starts with me after that loss. When you and the staff got together this week and said, okay, guys, what can we do better on game day? Could you share some of maybe?
Well, number one is just trying to make sure that the guys, we try to simplify things. Where guys aren't thinking too much and they can go out and execute. That's number one. I wanted to make sure, I always look at myself, what are we doing? What are we asking the players? So that was number one, and then really trying to, today I said, you know what, let's go inside. I want to make sure that we have a great level of focus. The guys can concentrate. We can get the communication. We had the crowd noise inside. So I thought we had a very effective practice. Was that the difference last week? I don't think so. Again, fundamentals, technique, being physical, playing off blocks. I think those are the key things. But you always want to make sure that you're preparing your guys in the right way and giving those guys a chance.
Where is Hassan Reddick in your defense right now?
Hassan, again, he's in the rotation. Is he starting? Not right now. Is there packages for him? Yes, because I think he has a unique skill set to where he can really come off the edge, rush the passer, some of the things he's done last year. I think he's good right now for his in coverage, matching up with, guys like Gurley, being able to connect. So, again, Al is doing a great job along with other coaches of trying to put him in position to be successful. We want to make sure we got our best 11 on the field at the right time.
There was a lot made of the stat about the coaches in their first year not winning this weekend. Is there challenges that you're going to have this year that you don't think you're going to have going forward in years after this?
Well, I think in the first year, there's always challenges. As you mentioned earlier, someone talked about, the system and guys learning the system. Now you got real live bullets going, and it's still a process. So we learning each other. The process on game day is different. The communication from the box to the sideline, making the proper adjustments. I think once guys understand your culture, all right, and the things that you want on a day-to-day basis, I think it's natural that it's very seamless moving forward. But right now, you're going to work through those rough spots. Excuse me.
How would you evaluate the offensive line play, especially pass protection?
Inconsistent, very inconsistent. I thought we did a good job coming off the ball in the run game, trying to get to the second level, creating holes for the running backs. But we need to make sure that we do a great job of really in the pocket, protecting the quarterback, winning the one-on-ones, which we're going to get a lot this week. Very talented defensive line, as we mentioned. So, again, we're going to have our hands full, but we got to win the one-on-ones across the board.
Sam's been in this league a long time, so he's had games where he's had to figure out after maybe not the best performance. Do you like how he's handled the way everything went this weekend and coming back from that?
I do, and I think he's a little disappointed in his performance, which most of those guys in that locker room are, and they should be. And the way he came back today, along with the other guys, gives me a lot of hope. And because I said all the time, we got talent in that locker room, but the character is what's going to, sustain us. And I think those guys came out, shook it off. We're moving forward. We're not thinking about last week. We're thinking about the Rams and putting ourselves in position to win this game. Well, I think the biggest thing is just really playing downhill, using our hands, getting off blocks. This is going to be a physical run game this week. Those guys do a great job really coming off the ball, trying to get to the second level. So we got to play down the hill, get the double teams off the nose and the three technique. Great job in setting the edge on the outside. A lot of things they do trying to get to the perimeter. And then the linebackers being able to, run north and south, all right, getting downhill, and then when the things gets on the perimeter, be ready to chase it down.
What do you think of Buddha for this game, and how big is he in this game?
Buddha, to me, is progressing each and every week. I think he's doing some great things. We put him in a situation back in the spring that he wasn't really used to that position. I think he's grown into that role. He's doing a great job. I love his physicality. He does a great job of pressuring the quarterback when we call his number to blitz. So he's doing some good things. I'm excited about where he is right now.
Coach, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
On a positive note.
Mm-hmm.